how important is it for Mark Carney to protect the trading relationship with the United States?
Obviously, the United States is an important trading partner. It is our key trading partner, so it obviously requires a great deal of focus. I wouldn't doubt that. At the same time, the idea of connecting more with other countries is absolutely correct. And people have argued this for years. We've been far too dependent on the U.S. as our market, and that's to our detriment. I mean, it's particularly clear now when Trump is just out of control half the time. But it's always been true. It's always been true that we're far too acquiescent to the demands of Americans. The governments always try and pretend that they do things for independent reasons, but the Canadian government typically succumbs to requests from the U.S. in order to please the U.S. because it's such an important trading partner. I mean, when Chrétien decided not to send Canadian troops to Iraq, that was very unusual. That's not typically what Canadian governments do. It's very good that there's going to be a focus more on connecting to other countries around the world. That will strengthen our hand also in dealing with the U.S. generally, in terms of trade and in terms of other things as well.
And yet the reality is that, 70% of Canada's trade is with the United States? The reality is that Canada is dealing with a very mercurial, erratic president in President Donald Trump, unpredictable. Let's just talk about the digital sales tax. Canada recently rescinded the digital sales tax after Donald Trump called off trade talks in retaliation for the levy. And he said unless Canada lifted the digital services tax, he was going to stop the trading conversation. He said that the digital sales tax was a blatant attack on the United States and that Canada is a very difficult country to trade with. Did Canada have any choice? When it comes to the digital sales tax, did Mark Carney not have to rescind it?
He did not have to. He had a choice. He made the wrong decision in my mind,
Why?
Clearly.
Why?
Well, first of all, the digital sales tax is a vital tax because otherwise we have no way to properly tax these great big tech companies, Google and Meta. They are consuming so much of the advertising market in our country, making it difficult for other media to compete with them. And yet they escape taxation because they're located outside the country. The tax was absolutely necessary. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been for years in the making. And the European countries, they have the same concept of taxing these digital giants. And if anything, I think we undermined the European efforts to do that by immediately capitulating to Trump on this.
And yet you were willing to risk the trading relationship with the United States?
Yes, because Donald Trump is an extremely volatile, not very thoughtful human being. He can do anything at any point. He can yell, he can threaten anything. You can't just assume that everything he's saying is true. And I think, if anything, it just showed such weakness. Like, he says that, and then we just immediately cut the tax. No. To immediately just capitulate, I think that completely sends the wrong message.
So you hold on to the tax, and he says, I'm not going to talk with you anymore.
Well, he will, though. He will, because...
Well, how do you know that, Linda McQuaig? It's easy for you to say you're on the sidelines, Linda McQuaig. Like
I don't know anything.
It's very easy for you to speak.
Else.
But it's very easy for you to take shots and to speak.
Yeah.
You're not in the room. You're not part of the negotiating team. You don't realize what they have to deal with.
I agree with you. I'm simply saying nobody has any idea what Donald Trump is going to do. Okay? We simply don't know. Like Mark Carney's saying certain things are not on the table. Why was this one on the table? What if Donald Trump said, okay, if you don't immediately hand over the Great Lakes to the United States, there'll be no further trade talks. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to prevent him from saying anything. Like,
giving up on the digital sales tax isn't the same on giving up on sovereignty over the Great Lakes.
Well, okay, but just a second. The digital sales tax is actually important, and it's a matter of principle. Right now, Trump is telling Brazil, He's imposed some extraordinary tax on them because he's angry at the way the Brazilian government is prosecuting a particular case.
Jair Bolsonaro.
Yeah. Well,
right. Who's an ally of Donald Trump.
Quite rightly, Lula, the Brazilian government, is saying, no, you can't do that. Are we going to allow Donald Trump to come up and tell us what cases we can try and what cases we can't? Like, that's just chaos and insanity. You just can't do that. And the truth is, there are pressures on Trump. He says a lot of crazy things that he never follows through on. But we just capitulated just like that. And did it help us? Apparently it didn't make any difference.
So what do you make of Mark Carney talking about elbows up during the campaign? Is he living up to that commitment, that idea that he was going to defend the interests of Canada and Canadians?
Look, there's no doubt the negotiations going on with the U.S. are extremely complicated. And I have every reason to believe that he is trying to defend Canada and that, it's not easy.
You've been listening to a clip of In Bed with the Elephant with me, your host, Adrian Harewood. Be sure to check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast and write a review. We love hearing from you.